1. Commentary on the Three Sutras of Pure Land Buddhism by Kurodani. The two fascicle sutra, hereafter the larger sutra, the meditation sutra, and the smaller sutra, are collectively called the Three Sutras of Pure Land Buddhism. The larger sutra expounds on the 48 vows made by Amida Buddha in the first fascicle and clarifies the fulfillment of these vows in the second fascicle. The 48 vows refer to the covenant Bodhisattva Dharmakara made in front of Tathagata, Lokesvara, arousing the heart for enlightenment. Bodhisattva Dharmakara vowed that he would establish his own pure Buddha land and welcome all sentient beings there to save them from suffering. Thus, the 48 vows include the vow that the three lower realms do not exist in the Pure Land, first vow, the vow that no one returns to the three lower realms after birth in the Pure Land, second vow, and the vow that all beings in the Pure Land are golden in color, third vow. The vows, however, were made specifically for the establishment of the 18th vow, the vow that all sentient beings will be born in the Pure Land through the recitation of the name of Amida Buddha. The 18th vow states, "If, when I, Bodhisattva Dharmakara, am to attain Buddhahood, all sentient beings in the 10 directions who have faith, with genuine hearts, and who wish to be born in my Buddha land, are not born there within just 10 moments of being mindful of me, I will not realize enlightenment." This essential vow of Amida Buddha is the most essential of all the 48 vows, because if no one were born in the Pure Land, the realization of the other vows, such as the vow that all beings in the Pure Land are golden in color, and the vow that there is no distinction in the personal appearance of all beings in the Pure Land, fourth vow, would be impossible. Only through birth in the Pure Land would one become golden in color, would there be no distinction between beauty and ugliness, would one acquire the 5 transcendent faculties, and would one possess the ability to know all former existences of himself and others. Accordingly, Master Shantou explained, Bodhisattva Dharmakara made the 48 vows. Each of the vows states that, when he attains Buddhahood, if all sentient beings in the 10 directions who wish to be born in his Buddha land, and who recite his name at least 10 times are not born there, he would not realize enlightenment. Master Shantou further commented that each of the 48 vows bore this message. As a rule, the vows any Buddhas make arise from within the heart of their aspiration for enlightenment in order to save sentient beings from suffering. A Mahayana text states, there are 2 aspects of a vow made by a bodhisattva. One aspect is the vow aspiring for enlightenment, and another aspect is the vow to save sentient beings from anguish. The true intention of the vow aspiring for enlightenment, however, is saving sentient beings from suffering and leading them to the shore of deliverance. Therefore, the real intention of a bodhisattva is in the vow to save sentient beings. The reason that Tathagata Amida established his own Pure Land is to welcome all sentient beings there in order to save them from suffering. After having attained Buddhahood, all Buddhas possess the merit of the inner realization, enlightenment, its external activities, and the oath to save sentient beings by leading them to the far shore of enlightenment. The merit and oath of every Buddha is equally profound and cannot be deemed more or less superior to another. However, the supremely skillful means of the vows made by bodhisattvas during practice to attain Buddhahood are diverse. Tathagata Amida, when he was in the state of a bodhisattva, as Bodhisattva Dharmakara, vowed that he would welcome into the Pure Land all those who exclusively recited his name, and he dedicated the merit of his austere practices from an eternity of eons to all sentient beings. This essential vow is what we, who reside in this world of defilement, rely upon. It is also the main path for sentient beings in the period of the decline of the Dharma to depart from this defiled world of suffering. Is there anything else in which to rejoice but his essential vow? Amida Buddha proclaimed, I have made vows that are unsurpassed. Numerous Buddhas in the past, present, and future have yet to make such a vow. Not to mention all the bodhisattvas in the 10 directions, i.e. everywhere. Amida Buddha further stated, if the vows are fulfilled, may the whole universe quake, and may heavenly beings rain wondrous blossoms from the sky. Thereupon, The 6 elements constituting all existence trembled, flowers rained from the sky, and he received a prophecy, stating, "You will, with certainty, realize enlightenment." Even if someone said that Bodhisattva Dharmakara did not accomplish Buddhahood, this vow should not be questioned. For, in truth, Bodhisattva Dharmakara did attain Buddhahood, and 10 eons have elapsed since then. We must believe this fact. This is what Master Shantou meant when he said, Amida Buddha did, indeed, attain Buddhahood, and presently resides in the Pure Land. It should be known that his essential vow was not made in vain. If sentient beings recite his name, they will, with certainty, attain birth in the Pure Land. The larger sutra states, if any sentient beings hear the name of Amida Buddha, rejoice in faith, and wish to be born in that Buddha land, then within just one moment of being mindful of Amida Buddha, through the dedication of their merit, they will immediately attain birth in the Pure Land, and will remain in the state of non-retrogression. The exception are those who have committed the 5 grave offenses and who have abused the true Dharma. This is a passage about the fulfillment of the 18th vow of Amida Buddha. Incidentally, the 18th vow states, within just 10 moments of being mindful of Amida Buddha, but in this passage citing the fulfillment of the 18th vow, the words are, within just 1 moment. The passage that follows in the larger sutra sets forth the 3 types of aspirants seeking birth in the Pure Land. This passage relates to the fulfillment of the 19th vow, which describes Amida Buddha's appearance in front of Nembutsu practitioners at their time of death. Those who wish for birth in the Pure Land are divided into 3 categories based on their karmic deeds and how much they've awakened the heart of enlightenment, Sanskrit bodhicitta. Regarding the karmic deeds for birth in the Pure Land, all 3 categories share the teaching of reciting single-heartedly and exclusively the name of the Buddha of immeasurable life, Amida Buddha. This is because this teaching is part of the essential vow of Amida Buddha. Another passage in the larger sutra states, the power of the essential vow of Amida Buddha enables those seeking birth in the Pure Land that have heard his name to attain birth in that Buddha land without exception, and once there, they will naturally proceed to the state of non-retrogression for attaining Buddhahood. The following account reveals the power of the essential vow of Amida Buddha. In China there was a precept master, Huan Tong, who lived by the Hinayana precepts. Once when he was staying in a hermitage far away, the person in the adjoining room was reciting this passage. Hearing this, Huang Tong also repeated the passage once or twice, and then put it out of his mind. As time passed, Huan Tong violated one of the precepts, and as a result, found himself before the judgment seat of King Yama, the lord of the realm of the dead. King Yama said, "You were born in a place where the teachings of Buddha Shakyamuni prevail. Now teach what you have learned, if anything." Then he made Huan Tong sit on a throne. Huan Tong on the throne searched his memory to no avail. The only thought that came to mind was the passage of the larger sutra he had heard in the hermitage. He proceeded to recite the passage on the power of the essential vow of Amida Buddha. King Yama listened, his crowned head bowed low. He said, "This is the very passage that elucidates the merit of Tathagata Amida, who resides in the Pure Land of ultimate bliss in the West," and he prostrated himself. The power of the essential vow is inconceivably profound. The larger sutra also states, Buddha Sakyamuni said to Bodhisattva Maitreya, "If someone hears the name of Amida Buddha, and having faith with great joy is mindful of Amida Buddha even for just 1 moment, then that person will receive great benefit and possess unsurpassed merit." When Buddha Sakyamuni instructed the larger sutra to Bodhisattva Maitreya, Buddha Shakyamuni said that mindfulness of Amida Buddha for a single moment would have great benefit and unsurpassed merit. These passages clarify the essentials of the larger sutra. In the Meditation Sutra, Buddha Sakyamuni expounded on the 13 meditative practices with a focused mind and the 3 meditative practices with a distracted mind. Also in this, he entrusted the practice of the recitation of the name of Amida Buddha to Ananda with the statement, "Thou hold these words carefully in your heart." In the 9th perception among the 16 meditative practices of the true physical features of Amida Buddha described in the Meditation Sutra, there is a passage that states, "Each ray of light from Amida Buddha shines over the worlds of the 10 directions. Those who recite the name of Amida Buddha are embraced by that light and will never be abandoned. Although the vow that Amida Buddha made, which saves all sentient beings, is equal and non-discriminatory, those with no karmic relationship with him will not merit his favor. For this reason, Amida Buddha, in his all-encompassing compassion, in order to establish a karmic relationship with all sentient beings, made a vow so that the light of Amida Buddha will be infinite and shine throughout all the 10 directions of the universe. This is the 12th vow. So that all sentient beings would know that the recitation of his name was the primary karmic cause for birth in his Pure Land, Amida Buddha made the 17th vow. If, when I am about to attain Buddhahood, all the innumerable Buddhas of the 10 directions do not praise and call out my name, I will not realize enlightenment. Amida Buddha continued with the 18th vow. If, when I am to attain Buddhahood, all sentient beings are not born in my Pure Land within just 10 moments of being mindful of me, I will not realize enlightenment. In accordance with these vows, Tathagata Shakyamuni and all the Buddhas of the whole universe, as countless as the grains of sand in the Ganges, taught this truth. Thus the light of Amida Buddha shines without exception over all the 10 directions, and the innumerable Buddhas in the universe, in unison, praise the name of Amida Buddha. Therefore, there should be no place where his name fails to be heard. As Amida Buddha vowed, upon my attaining Buddhahood, if my name is not heard everywhere in the 10 directions, I will not realize enlightenment. Thus, if the karmic relationship established by the light and the karmic cause established by the recitation of the name of Amida Buddha are in harmony, do not doubt that one will receive the benefit of being embraced by Amida Buddha, who abandons no one. Therefore, in the beginning of Hymns in Praise of Birth in the Pure Land, Master Shantou writes, the enlightenment of all Buddhas is equal and the same, but their vows and practices have distinct causal effects. Amida Buddha, especially, having made his profound essential vow, has embraced all sentient beings in the 10 directions in order to bring deliverance by means of his light and name. Moreover, in order to provide eternal deliverance for sentient beings through the essential vow, Amida Buddha vowed that his lifespan will be immeasurable. This is the 13th vow. To summarize, while the vow of immeasurable light was designed to reach all sentient beings throughout space, the vow of infinite life was designed to benefit all sentient beings throughout time. If, as mentioned above, karmic cause, his name, and relation, his light and life, are in harmony, then the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas will manifest in the light enveloping the sentient beings, protecting them and surrounding them 100-fold and 1,000-fold. As a result, their devotion will be enhanced, and this will cause their sufferings to diminish. Another passage states, at the time of death, Amida Buddha himself arrives to welcome the Nembutsu devotee, so that various non-virtuous karmas that tie one to this delusive world cannot get in the way of birth in the Pure Land. That is to say, as one's life comes to an end, one is assailed by hundreds of torments, and there is no peace. Externally, one has undesirable karmic conditions. Internally, one experiences turbulent thoughts. At the time of death, the 3 kinds of attachment. 1. Attachment to one's family, relatives, and material possessions. 2. Attachment to one's own life. And 3. Attachment to one's rebirth in a good situation in the future will arise, furiously vying with each other. King Mara, of the 6th heaven, in the realm of desire, seizing this as an opportune moment, comes to obstruct one's birth in the Pure Land. In order to free us of these hindrances, Amida Buddha, with hosts of bodhisattvas and celestial beings, vowed to appear to Nembutsu devotees at the time of death. This is the 19th vow. By the grace of the 19th vow, Amida Buddha appears at one's time of death. The Nembutsu devotee, upon witnessing this welcome, experiences great joy as if entering into a state of samadhi, and promptly mounts the lotus platform offered by Bodhisattva Avalokitesvara, and proceeds to the jeweled pond of the land of serene sustenance, the Pure Land. Because of these benefits, it is taught that those who recite Nembutsu are embraced by the light of Amida Buddha and will never be abandoned. The Meditation Sutra declares, One who embodies the threefold devotional heart will be born in that Buddha land without fail. The threefold devotional heart, or the three aspects of faith, are 1. The genuine heart, 2. The profound heart, and 3. The heart that seeks birth in the Pure Land through the dedication of merit. Though the threefold devotional heart is divided into 3, the essence and core of the threefold devotional heart is the profound heart. Master Shantou interpreted the genuine heart thus: the Chinese term qi refers to truth, and the term cheng refers to the quality of being sincere. The author, with this interpretation of qi and cheng, would like to clarify that both understanding and practice performed by all sentient beings through their physical, verbal, and mental acts must be done with a genuine heart. Do not outwardly pretend to be wise, virtuous, and diligent, while inwardly harboring falsity and fickleness. Here, understanding and practice mean that one has implicit faith that even a common mortal with negative karma, who has wandered through the 6 delusive worlds of samsara, is assured of achieving birth in the Pure Land by the power of the essential vow of Amida Buddha with 10 recitations, or even just a single utterance of Nembutsu. This assumes, though, that one truly understands and practices Nembutsu. If one outwardly manifests the appearance of believing in the essential vow, while inwardly entertaining doubts, then this is not the genuine heart. The second aspect of the threefold devotional heart is the profound heart. Master Shantou explained, the profound heart is the heart of profound faith, which has 2 aspects. The first is to firmly believe that one is a common mortal with worldly passions who has transmigrated through the 6 delusive worlds of samsara for countless eons up to this day, and that one does not possess the karmic conditions needed to detach oneself from the 6 delusive worlds. The second is to have unshakable faith that Amida Buddha will embrace all sentient beings with his 48 vows. If one firmly believes in these 2 instructions, one will, with certainty, attain birth in the Pure Land through the power of his essential vow. The passage on this firm belief states, firmly believe that one is a common mortal with worldly passions who has transmigrated through the 6 delusive worlds of samsara for countless eons until now, and that one does not possess the karmic condition to detach oneself from the 6 delusive worlds. This statement refers to those who have no intrinsic goodness and no possibility for achieving enlightenment in this life. If they recite just a single utterance or 10 repetitions of Nembutsu, even though they have wandered through the 6 delusive worlds from beginningless time until now, they will now be able to extricate themselves from the 6 delusive worlds and attain birth in the Pure Land of non-retrogression. This is what nurtures the faithful heart for birth in the Pure Land. Generally speaking, it is impossible for the common heart to understand the inconceivable power of the essential vow of Amida Buddha. A Buddha, and only a Buddha, is able to comprehend this. Nonetheless, by the recitation of the name of Amida Buddha, even those who have committed the 5 grave offenses or the 10 transgressions will be born in the Pure Land without exception. Amida Buddha's essential vow has inconceivable power. Who can doubt this? In his commentary on the Meditation Sutra, Master Shantou writes, someone said, you, a mortal, have, for innumerable eons until now, in all your former and present states from a commoner to a sage, perpetrated various negative karmas. With your physical, verbal, and mental acts, you have committed the 10 transgressions, the 5 grave offenses, and the 4 grave offenses. You have abused the Dharma. You have no intrinsic goodness. You have violated the Buddhist precepts and have refuted right views. You have not been able to eradicate this defiled karma. This karma binds you to the delusive triple realms. How? Through merely performing meritorious acts and the recitation of Nembutsu for the rest of your life, can you be born into that undefiled and eternal Pure Land and realize the state of non-retrogression forever? You should answer thus. The teachings and practices of various Buddhas are more numerous than specks of dust and sand. Innumerable also are the potential and karmic conditions of sentient beings. Therefore, the teaching of a Buddha is not the only one. Put into concrete terms, that people can see and believe. Light penetrates dark. The sky envelops all things. The earth supports and nurtures life. Water makes things grow. And fire forms and destroys matter. This is called the law of mutuality. In other words, one should discern all existence in an infinite variety of ways. Further, can it not be said that there is manifold merit in the inconceivable power of the Dharma? It is wondrous, but the water, birds, and trees in the Pure Land of ultimate bliss create the exquisite sound of Dharma. If one believes that this is a manifestation of the power of the vows of Amida Buddha, how could it be possible to doubt the 18th vow, which assures birth in the Pure Land with just 10 repetitions of Nimbutsu? If, in general, one believes in the teachings of Buddha Sakyamuni, this, too, is the teaching of Buddha Sakyamuni. The Flower Garland Sutra expounds upon the doctrine that there is no difference in substance between the mind of the Buddha and that of sentient beings. The Perfection of Wisdom Sutra explains that all forms of existence, in and of themselves, are not substantial, i.e., they do not exist intrinsically. The Lotus Sutra teaches the concept that all phenomena are ultimate reality. The Nirvana Sutra propounds that the theory that all sentient beings innately possess Buddha nature. Would anyone doubt these doctrines? These are all teachings of Buddha Sakyamuni. Would it be possible to believe one and not another? The Japanese designation for Amitabha, Amida, consists of only 3 characters. Within this name, however, is the merit of the inner realization of Tathagata Amida and his external activities, as well as the merit of Buddha Sakyamuni's extremely profound teachings, which are as numerous as the grains of sand in the Ganges. Who can fathom this? Master Shantou, in the chapter Essentials of the Commentary on the Meditation Sutra, interpreted this name thus: the Chinese term for Amida Buddha, Ami Tofo, is a transliteration of the language of India. It was interpreted into Chinese as enlightened one whose life is immeasurable, Wu Liang Shao Chao. Immeasurable life, Wu Liang Shou, points to the Dharma. An enlightened one, Chao, is a person. Both the Dharma and the person are combined into enlightened one whose life is immeasurable. Accordingly, he is referred to as Amitofo. The person and the Dharma are also objects of contemplation. This includes the dependent reward and the primary reward. Therefore, all of the merits of the teachings, the meditative practices on the phenomenal aspect of reality and the nominal principle, the unmatched power acquired through meditation and wisdom, the wisdom of inner realization, and the merit of external activities, as well as all of the virtues and undefiled enlightenment of Tathagata Amida, Bodhisattva Avalokitesvara, Bodhisattva Mahastamaprapta, Bodhisattva Samantabhadra, Bodhisattva Manjushri, Bodhisattva Siddhigarbha, Nagarjuna, and the Bodhisattvas and Travakas of the Pure Land are encompassed in the 3 characters of the name of Amida. This being so, would there be any Dharma not included in the teaching for birth in the Pure Land? The 3 Japanese characters in the name of Amida are interpreted by other Buddhist schools in a number of different ways. The Shingon school teaches that the letter A in the Sanskrit alphabet indicates the origin of all phenomena and the state of non-production, and that the letter A produces 42 Sanskrit characters. All existence is contained in the letter A. Therefore, the name of Amida is considered to be most meritorious. The Tendai school teaches the theory of the 3 aspects of truth articulating ultimate reality, the truths of emptiness, temporariness, and the middle path. The doctrine of the 3 causes leading to Buddhahood, the innate Buddha nature, the wisdom discerning the ultimate principle, and virtuous deeds that cultivate wisdom. The teaching of the 3 bodies of a Buddha, the Dharma body, the rewarded body, and the transformed body, and the merits possessed by a Tathagata. These theories are all contained in the 3 characters of the name of Amida. Hence, the merit of the letter is considerable. As illustrated, each school has interpreted the 3 letters in the name of Amida from its own doctrine's perspective. Now, the essence of our Jodo Shu is the belief that the 3 characters Amida embody the entire Buddhist teachings, including the theory of the Shingon school that the letter A in the Sanskrit alphabet indicates the origin of all phenomena and the state of non-production, the teachings of the oneness of the 3 aspects of truth taught by the Tendai school, the theory that the middle path emerges from the eightfold negation taught by the Sanron school, the theory of the 5 levels of contemplation from the principles of mind only of the Hasso school, basically, all of the Dharma in the universe. This is because no Buddhist doctrines are excluded from the teaching for birth in the Pure Land. Nevertheless, the heart of the vows of Amida Buddha does not expect one to believe in all of the above. He will come to receive all beings who simply recite Nembutsu with deep devotion. The medicinal panacea for all ills prescribed by Javaka of India and Pian Chu of China was a compound of various herbs and medicines. Although those who were ill knew it was made of a combination of substances, no one knew the ratio of medicine to herbs or their exact amount. The herb still cured many illnesses. Regrettably, the skill of Javaka and the secret formula of Pianchu were ineffective if the patient did not have faith in the medication, believed that he was gravely ill, and doubted whether he would ever recover through the herb. The name of Amida is the same. Worldly passions and negative karma are grave illnesses. If one wonders, will reciting the name of Amida bring me birth in the Pure Land, and there is no faith in the name, then the essential vow of Amida Buddha and the teachings of Buddha Sakyamuni are in vain, and there will be no proof to contradict this doubt. So just revere and have faith in the name. A person will perish if he does not ingest the good medicine he obtains. One would regret it deeply if one were to climb Mount Kunlun and return without a precious gem, or enter a sandalwood forest and return without breaking off a branch. Ponder this. We might have met Buddha Sakyamuni and had the guidance of bodhisattvas for countless eons, even up to the present time. Manifold Buddhas in the past, as well as Tathagatas of today, might have been our fathers, mothers, and friends in our many lives of transmigration. Ask yourself, how then did they realize enlightenment? Why am I still detained in the 6 delusive worlds of transmigration? It is indeed shameful and a sad state of affairs. The principal master, Tathagata Sakyamuni, vowed to lead and emancipate sentient beings who climb the mountain of grave offenses, ensconce themselves in the forest of aberrant views, carelessly perform the 3 types of acts, physical, verbal, and mental, and were wanton with the 6 sensory organs, thus keeping them in his land, i.e. this world. Why did Buddha Sakyamuni vow to emancipate these types of sentient beings in particular? The answer may be in the past, long ago. Before Tathagata Amida had attained Buddhahood, he was called King Aranemi. When he resigned from the kingship, he awakened with the desire to attain enlightenment and made the vow to embrace sentient beings and help them to escape the 6 delusive worlds of transmigration. At that time, Tathagata Sakyamuni called himself Brahman Samudrarenu. At the same time, Tathagata Shakyamuni, who was then called Brahman Samarendru, also made a vow to realize enlightenment in this world of suffering and to guide sentient beings wrought with non-virtuous karma onto the correct path to enlightenment. For countless eons until now, multifarious Buddhas appeared on earth and, according to karmic condition and human potential, led each sentient being to deliverance. These occurrences are more numerous than dust and sand. Some Buddhas taught Mahayana Buddhism, and others Hinayana Buddhism. They spread the true teachings at one time and the expedient teachings at another, thus creating karmic relations with the Buddha. All the sentient beings benefited from these teachings. Thereupon, Buddha Sakyamuni manifested his 8 major aspects in this non-virtuous world, replete with the 5 defilements, and lamented that licentious sentient beings with aberrant views had no opportunity for escape from this baneful realm. He then taught as follows. The Pure Land of ultimate bliss lies westward. There is a Buddha named Amida, who vowed, if when I am to attain Buddhahood, all sentient beings who wish to be born in my Buddha land, and who recite my name at least 10 times are not born there, I will not realize enlightenment. He then attained Buddhahood. You should therefore recite his name at once. There may be numerous ways to become free from the 6 delusive worlds of transmigration, but for sentient beings with negative karma and worldly passions, there is no way superior to this teaching of Nembutsu to extricate themselves immediately from the 6 delusive worlds. Buddha Sakyamuni cordially added, you must never entertain doubt about this teaching for attaining birth in the Pure Land through the recitation of the name of Amida Buddha. All Buddhas in the 6 directions, as numerous as the grains of sand in the Ganges, have authenticated this teaching. He further stated, if I remain in this defiled world of suffering for too long, Those licentious sentient beings with aberrant views who might criticize and betray me would eventually fall into the lower realms. The sole reason for my appearance in this defiled world is to relay this teaching of birth in the Pure Land through Nimbutsu to all sentient beings. Buddha Sakyamuni then entrusted his teaching of Nimbutsu to Ananda, carefully saying, "Thou transmit this teaching in the distant future." Then, in the spring of his 80th year, at midnight on the 15th day of February, lying down with his head toward the north and face to the west, he entered parinirvana under the sala trees on the banks of the Hiranyavati river. At that moment, the sun and moon lost their glow. Plants and trees paled, and even the 8 kinds of deities, wild beasts and birds, all looked skyward, sobbed, prostrated themselves, and wailed. Senior disciples of Buddha Sakyamuni, including Ananda and Maudgalyayana, contained their tears of sorrow and held a discussion. We have benefited from the grace of Buddha Sakyamuni for 80 years. Now the karmic conditions leading one to enlightenment are spent. The golden-complexioned Buddha has hastily departed. Sometimes we were able to approach him, and the world-honored one gave us a response. At other times, Buddha Sakyamuni himself delivered discourses. To whom now should we pose our questions regarding the means to save sentient beings from suffering and lead them to deliverance? We must record the words of Tathagata Sakyamuni without fail in order to convey his teachings in the future. This will be his legacy. Thus, they gathered the leaves of the Tala tree, recorded all of his teachings, and later Tripitaka masters translated them, spreading them to China and then to Japan. These are the holy teachings of the life of Buddha Sakyamuni, still maintained by various Buddhist scholars in Japan today. Later on, Tathagata Amida, calling himself Shantao, appeared in China. He thus declared, "Tathagata Sakyamuni appeared in the world of the 5 defilements, and through various skillful means, he aligned with the propensities of the people and taught sentient beings. Thus he taught differently depending on the people and the situation. For example, on one occasion he taught that one becomes enlightened by listening to many teachings. At another time he taught that one can attain the 3 insights through Hinayana teachings. At still another time he taught that one can remove hindrances by accumulating meritorious virtues and wisdom. And yet another time that one can develop prudence through the practice of meditation. Enlightenment can be achieved through these teachings, but no teaching supersedes recitation of Nimbutsu for birth in the Western Pure Land. From the lifelong Nimbutsu recitation to just 10 repetitions, or even 3 or 5 repetitions, they will all result in welcoming the arrival of Amida Buddha. The essential vow of Amida Buddha is indeed venerable. The common people who recite Nimbutsu will speedily attain birth in the Pure Land." The presence of Buddha Sakyamuni attests to these statements. Master Shantao commented, "It is the most difficult of difficulties for one to believe in the teaching of Nimbutsu, and make others believe it too. To transmit the great compassion of Amida Buddha to others, and to spread his teaching far and wide, is the true repayment of the benevolence of Amida Buddha." Then how should we repay Buddha Sakyamuni's benevolence? By attaining birth in the Pure Land through Nimbutsu. If we merely idle away our existence, where is our resolve to extricate ourselves from the 6 delusive worlds? We must immediately awaken faith in Amida Buddha and detach ourselves from the 6 delusive worlds of transmigration. The third aspect of the threefold devotional heart is the heart that seeks birth in the Pure Land through the dedication of merit. The heart that seeks birth in the Pure Land through the dedication of merit should be cultivated by everyone. Who would not wish for birth in the Pure Land after hearing about the pleasure and happiness of the Pure Land of ultimate bliss of Amida Buddha? In the theory of the 9 grades of aspirants for birth in the Pure Land, which grade of birth are we aiming for? Master Shantao commented, "The Pure Land is a rewarded land, and Amida Buddha is a rewarded Buddha. It is said that all common people who have not severed themselves from worldly passions are not able to achieve birth in the Pure Land. The essential vow of Amida Buddha is inconceivably profound. Therefore, even ignorant people with worldly passions wandering among the 6 delusive worlds are able to attain birth in the Pure Land by merely a single utterance or 10 repetitions of Nimbutsu. Nevertheless, since ancient times, many commoners have been satisfied with the low category of birth in the Pure Land and have not wished to be of the high category. They do not aspire toward the high category of birth because they fear getting through the heavy burden of their non-virtuous karma. If birth in the Pure Land were impossible due to this karmic burden, it would be impossible for everyone. If the power of the essential vow of Amida Buddha results in birth in the Pure Land, why would it be difficult to aspire for the high category of birth? Amida Buddha established the Pure Land to fulfill his vows. This is the very Buddha land in which all Nembutsu devotees will be born. Amida Buddha vowed, if when I am to attain Buddhahood, all sentient beings who call out my name at least 10 times are not born there, I will not realize enlightenment. And then he established the Pure Land. Here I shall enumerate each condition of the 9 grades of aspirants for birth in the Pure Land, as described in the Meditation Sutra. People in the low category of birth are guilty of the 5 grave offenses or the 10 transgressions. Even though they are extremely negative, they will meet a virtuous teacher for the first time at the time of their death, be encouraged by that teacher to recite Nembutsu, and eventually be born in the Pure Land with 10 or even just 1 recitation of Nembutsu. Although our karmic burden is grave, we have not yet committed the 5 grave offenses. Although our practice is wanting, we have recited Nembutsu more than once or 10 times. Before facing death, we have heard of the teaching of the essential vow of Amida Buddha and cultivated faith in birth in the Pure Land in accordance with our ability. Hence, we will never fall to the low category of birth. Those of the middle category of birth are the Hinayana practitioners who have observed the regulations and practice virtuous deeds such as filial piety, benevolence, righteousness, propriety, wisdom, and sincerity. It is difficult for us to be born in this category. We are not Hinayana practitioners, neither do we have the regulations to observe. Therefore, birth in the middle category is beyond our ability. People of the high category of birth are the commoners who have practiced the teaching of Mahayana Buddhism and awakened in their hearts aspiration for enlightenment. Aspiration for enlightenment is understood by each Buddhist school. According to the interpretation of our Jodo Shu, cultivating the heart for birth in the Pure Land is referred to as aspiration for enlightenment. The recitation of Nembutsu is a Mahayana practice and has unsurpassed merit. Hence, we should not retreat from the desire for the high category of birth. Further, Amida Buddha established the essential 18th vow in which birth in the Pure Land is assured with just 10 repetitions of Nembutsu. In the 19th vow of the appearance of Amida Buddha, he promised to appear surrounded by a host of celestial beings before Nembutsu devotees at their time of death. For the middle category of birth, however, Shravakas appear before the Nembutsu devotee at their death, and for the low category of birth, the 3 transformed bodies of Amida Buddha and his 2 attendant bodhisattvas, or lotus flowers with golden petals, may appear. The real intent of the 19th vow, the appearance of Amida Buddha surrounded by a host of his attendant bodhisattvas at the time of death, was established for those in the high category of birth. Accordingly, it is not necessary to hesitate to aim at the high category of birth in the Pure Land. Master Shantou also taught, the recitation of Nembutsu more than 30,000 times a day becomes the karmic cause for the high grade of the high category of birth. It follows, then, that a large number of repetition leads to birth in the high category. In addition, concerning the threefold devotional heart, there are also the 9 different grades. Therefore, it is understood that attainment of birth in the high category depends on the depth of one's belief in birth in the Pure Land through Nembutsu. The wish to be born in the high category is not for one's own sake. Its purpose is to be able to return to this defiled world, having achieved birth in the Pure Land, to offer guidance to sentient beings without a moment's delay. How can this not be in accordance with the intent of Amida Buddha? The smaller sutra first teaches the merits of the dependent and primary rewards of the Pure Land in order to encourage the cultivation of the desire for birth in the Pure Land in the hearts of sentient beings. The smaller sutra then clarifies the practice for birth in the Pure Land, stating, scant roots of virtue do not make birth in the Pure Land possible, but reciting the name of Amida Buddha continually from 1 to 7 days makes birth in the Pure Land possible. Lest sentient beings do not believe in this teaching of birth in the Pure Land through Nembutsu, the smaller sutra further states that manifold Buddhas in the 6 directions, as countless as the grains of sand in the Ganges, extended their tongues enveloping the 3,000 great thousand worlds to attest to this teaching. Master Shantou interpreted this to mean, if in spite of the attestation of the Tathagatas in the 6 directions, birth in the Pure Land is impossible for Nembutsu devotees, then their extended tongues will never again be retracted, and their tongues will fester and fall into decay. This indicates that to doubt the teaching of birth in the Pure Land through Nembutsu is not to believe in the essential vow of Amida Buddha, nor in the teachings of Buddha Sakyamuni. To doubt the teachings of Buddha Sakyamuni means to doubt the assertion of all Buddhas in the six directions, who are as countless as the grains of sand in the Ganges. If this assertion is wrong, their tongues, extended over the 3,000 great thousand worlds, would ulcerate and disintegrate. Conversely, if one believes in the teaching of birth in the Pure Land through Nembutsu, one not only believes in the essential vow of Amida Buddha, but also in the teachings of Buddha Sakyamuni. Believing in the teachings of Buddha Sakyamuni is then to believe in all Buddhas in the six directions. Believing in all Buddhas leads to faith in the Dharma in its entirety. Believing in the entire Dharma means to have faith in all of the Bodhisattvas. Accordingly, the belief in the teaching of birth in the Pure Land through Nembutsu is vast and all-encompassing. Master Shantou also explained, in order to sever the attachments to doubt and perverse views of common mortals, all Buddhas extended their tongues to envelop the 3,000 great thousand worlds and validated both the teaching of birth in the Pure Land through the recitation of Nembutsu for 7 days and the truth of the teachings of Buddha Sakyamuni. By extending their tongues, the Tathagatas in the six directions also validated the belief that if sentient beings recite Nembutsu with all their hearts, they will be able to attain birth in the Western Land. Once birth in the Pure Land is achieved, lotus blossoms will be in bloom, one can listen to wondrous teachings, and the aspiration of the Bodhisattva of the 10 stages will naturally be experienced. Continually recite Nembutsu. Do not harbor any doubt about the teaching of birth in the Pure Land through Nembutsu. The Tathagatas of the six directions have attested to this teaching. If when one recites Nembutsu, the 3 types of acts, physical, verbal, and mental, are in unison without distraction, the lotus blossoms of 100 treasures will appear as the occasion requires. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.